flowers like glacier, pretty like ray tracing. I've become complacent.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I have some plant care I need to take care of. I have two plants that I plan on combining into one, and I also have a plant on a moss pole that's getting pretty wild and she needs to be, you know, tightened up a little bit. So that's what I'll be doing in this video. Also, all the products that I'm using in this video that I sell will be linked below. So please go ahead and check out my website and let's get into it. So here are the first two plants that I plan on combining into one. I have made a custom moss pole so that these two plants can grow together. The custom moss pole that I made is a little bit wider than what I normally sell on my website because these plants are pretty big. And if you know anything about the syngonium or the syngoniumalbo, you know that they grow fast. And this plant is taking up some good real estate in here, even though, you know, they're not that big, but I think they would do better if I could just go ahead and put them together. So here is the custom moss pole that I made. I think it's about 5 inches wide. I'm hoping it fits perfectly inside of my 6-inch pot. It sits on the bottom, and if you can see, this syngonium is on a regular moss pole. She's doing great. I actually recently repotted this plant. It was cuttings, and the cuttings from this plant actually came from this plant. This is what I guess you would call the mother plant. She's growing very well. Let me show you her, because both of these plants are in leca. So this is the mother plant, the OG right here, and these are her cuttings. So I'm just gonna put them together so they can grow in one pot in the same spot, and I can just take care of them, you know, a little bit more. It'll be a little bit more easier for me to take care of them if they're in the same spot, in the same pot. I do have cuttings of this plant that are currently rooting in water that I probably will end up potting up later, but I'm pretty sure that this would make it a little bit easier for me and I can free up some good space. So here they are. Also, this plant here is living in my XO. In her moss pole, there are cocoa chips in here. And this plant is living on one of my wire shelves, and it's on a regular steel sphagnum moss pole that I sell on my website as well. So you can see that these moss poles actually work great for the same plant in different environments at different sizes. So let's get into this repot. And since they're in leca, you already know I will not be talking over the leca, so enjoy the music. Okay, you guys, I have finished unpotting all of these pieces of my syngoniumalbo plants, and now I'm gonna go ahead and pot them up together and put them on this D-shaped moss pole. So, yeah. Okay, this is what she's looking like so far. She's very bushy, very full. Here's the back of her moss pole. I ended up having to cut a lot of some of her roots off because they were just going crazy. And I know with the syngonium, it's not really gonna be a big deal because they're gonna grow right back. The roots on this plant grow very fast. And I'm also gonna go ahead and put the cocoa chips back in the moss pole. Okay, this is how she turned out. I was able to get all the pieces back into this pot. I thought these pieces of this syngoniumalbo were going to be able to fit into the 6-inch pot, but her roots were too crazy, so I ended up putting her in a 7-inch pot. And here is what her moss pole is looking like. It's a D-shaped moss pole. It's made of the same materials of the D-shaped moss poles that I sell on my website. And I don't know if you can see, I have filled the pole up to about right here with the cocoa chips that was already in the original plant that I just took apart. I don't know if you can see it from the back. So the cocoa chips come up to about right here. I'm gonna wait for her to start climbing again and get situated in this pot before I fill the moss pole completely with the cocoa chips. But I have actually been pretty surprised with this plant. It's actually attaching to the pole with the cocoa chips very well. So that's her. I'll also be putting her in one of these clear buckets, the ones that I have mentioned before that I find on Amazon. This one right here can accommodate one of my 7-inch pots. And she fits in here perfectly, if you can see that. So using this cover pot here, I can clearly see her roots and see when she needs water. So this is a perfect setup for her. And let's get into the next plant. Here's the next plant. This is my baby manjulapothos. She is in leca in one of my 5.5-inch tall clear pots. She's on a janky moss pole, but look, can you see? This is how much she has started climbing over the pole. And today I'm gonna go ahead and give her another pole, and hopefully she still fits in the same pot. Here's the moss pole that I will be using for this plant. It's a D-shaped moss pole with a clear back. So she'll be getting that, and she'll be getting, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just trim the piece that's extending over this current moss pole. When I got this plant, I had found her in Lowe's before it was very, very easy to get your hands on a manjulapothos. And for the longest, I thought that she wasn't gonna grow at all. And I transferred her to leca as soon as I got her. I put her in the XO and she just blasted off. She just took off out of nowhere. Can you see this craziness? It's amazing. Her leaves are starting to size up a little bit. So hopefully she doesn't get too upset since she was a slow grower at the beginning. And let's get into it. And she is in leca, and I will be putting her back in leca today. Let's go. So I just learned my camera cut off. I don't know what was left. I don't know where I left off in the video. So I'm gonna make this really quick. Here is the manjulapothos on the D-shaped moss pole that I made for her. She was able to fit back in her 5.5-inch pot. She's in leca, and I will go ahead and rinse her down, spray down her leaves, give her a good little treatment before I put her back in the XO. At this moment, I am not sure what I would like to put in her moss pole. I don't know if I want to put moss, cocoa chips, or what in her moss pole. So I'm just gonna go ahead and take a minute to think about it while I'm cleaning her up and giving her some nutrients. Also, I had these pieces left over that was in the pot as well. They're very small. They have some healthy roots actually, a very small root system, but very healthy. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and pot these up by themselves. I don't think I'm gonna put them back in leca. So this is all I have for today's video. I want to thank you all so much for watching and sticking around with me. If you're interested in any of the items that you have seen in this video, please check the links in the description, and I'll see you next time.
Flowers like glacier, pretty like ray tracing.